Hello everyone, welcome to MBBS classes. Myself Dr. Hanifa. Today in this video I'll be talking on laryngomalacia. Laryngomalacia, it is one of the most common congenital anomaly of the larynx. If we see the exact numbers, the incidence of congenital anomaly of the larynx is somewhere between 1 is to 10,000 to 1 is to 50,000 birth. It is one of the most common cause of stridor in infants. The terminology of this disease is a little bit confusing because it is known by the other terminologies also. The term laryngomalacia was introduced by Jackson and Jackson in the year 1942. The other terminologies which are used synonymously for this diseases are like congenital laryngeal stridor. It's also known by congenital laryngeal obstruction, congenital stridor of infants, or inspiratory laryngeal collapse. This disease, it may be present as an isolated disease or it can be associated with the other neurological diseases or other anomalies of the larynx in somewhere 5 to 15% of the cases. So the other congenital anomalies of the larynx are laryngeal web, absent or rudimentary epiglottis, saccular cyst and laryngoceles, laryngeal clefts, vocal cord paralysis, laryngeal tracheoesophageal cleft and subglottic lesions like stenosis, cyst and hemangiomas. But today we'll be talking only on the laryngomalacia. So now let's see the characteristic of this anomaly. In this condition, the laryngeal inlet collapses on inspiration, causing stridor as the supraglottic structures are abnormally soft and pliable. So here there is a collapse of the laryngeal inlet during inspiration which is causing the stridor. And as the structures are soft and pliable, so the disease gets its name due to its characteristic features. When the collapse of the laryngeal inlet may be a partial closure, or it can sometimes also cause the complete closure of the laryngeal inlet. It is seen that the males are affected more than the females, and it is also seen that it is the most common diagnosis for airway obstruction in children with the Down syndrome. Now let's see why and what causes the stridor in laryngomalacia. So we know that the stridor in laryngomalacia, it results from the collapse of the supraglottic structures which results in the narrow airway, and second cause is the turbulent airflow. So the reasons behind the stridor is due to the characteristic anatomical abnormality of the larynx, and second cause is the neuromuscular immaturity. Now let's see what are the different characteristic abnormalities of the larynx which leads to the laryngomalacia and the consequent stridor. First is the texture of the epiglottis. It is soft. Second is the shape of the epiglottis is omega shape. The omega shape, it occurs because the epiglottis is longer and it is gets curled up. So if you see here, this is a laryngoscopic schematic picture where you can see that the epiglottis is omega shaped. The third reason is the epiglottic folds. It is seen that they are tall and they are bulky and they are short antero-posteriorly. So this is the area of arytenoid, this is the epiglottis. The epiglottic fold, in the case of laryngomalacia, they are short. They are tightly adhered to the epiglottis. So as a result of this, it results in tall and narrow supraglottis. And moreover, it is seen that the mucosa over the aryepiglottic fold has a tendency to prolapse anteromedially. The second cause is the neuromuscular immaturity. It is seen that in these children there is some incoordination of the arytenoid movement and there is a weak laryngeal tone in a case of laryngomalacia. So the basic thing is the anatomical abnormalities and the neuromuscular immaturity, it leads to the stridor. But the stridor can be explained very well by the Bernoulli's phenomena. So if you remember from the physics classes, the Bernoulli phenomena states that when a fluid or a gas is in motion, the pressure exerted on the wall of the airway decreases as the velocity of the gas increases. So, this is now what happens in a case of laryngomalacia larynx. As the air rushes through the tall and the narrow supraglottis, the negative pressure is created near the glottis. This negative pressure it tends to close the supraglottic structure, and as this epiglottis is soft, it is pliable, the laryngeal inlet it gets collapsed. When the laryngeal inlet will be collapsed, it will generate a further drop in the pressure of the airway, and the child will find difficult to breathe and will develop stridor. So the laryngomalacia, they most commonly they present as stridor. They may present as some feeding problems and as also associated gastric reflux. So the stridor in the laryngomalacia, they appear in the neonatal period mostly. The newborn develops the stridor shortly after the birth in most of the patients, and it is seen that within the 2 weeks of life. If we see the characteristic of the stridor in laryngomalacia is typically high pitched, intermittent in nature, and it is always inspiratory type. If you see the course of the stridor in laryngomalacia, it increases to the first 9 months because the child becomes more active during this period, 6 to 9 months period, and then it steadily improves thereafter. In 75% of the patients or the cases, they have no stridor by 18 months, and in majority, it resolves without treatment, and very rarely it persists into the late childhood. Now let's see the different precipitating and the relieving factors of stridor in laryngomalacia. It is seen that the stridor it worsens with the feeding because the baby needs to take break while feeding in order to breathe. Second is the stridor it also worsens in the supine position. So whenever you are taking a history, always try to find out the precipitating and the relieving factors of the stridor. Then it is seen that the stridor becomes less or quieter in the prone position. So this is how knowing the precipitating and the relieving factors will help you to come to the diagnosis. So the characteristic of the stridor is not same in all the cases. In some cases it may be mild, and in some cases it may be moderate to severe. So what happens in mild cases, it is seen that the stridor improves with crying. The causes the tone of the pharynx increases. Whereas in moderate to severe cases, the stridor it worsens with the crying because of the increased airflow through the severely collapsed larynx. Now, the other symptoms may be the associated feeding problems because because due to the high negative pressure which is generated during the inspiration, and second is the infant may have some gastric reflux also, and this gastric reflux is seen in about 50 to 80% of the cases. Sometimes there may be an associated aspiration, and it can also lead to aspiration pneumonitis. In very severe cases, the child may have obstructive sleep apnea and may also develop cor pulmonale, secondary to the laryngomalacia. The diagnosis of a case of laryngomalacia is principally made on the basis of history, signs and symptoms. Then flexible laryngoscopy helps in confirming the diagnosis and in examining the airway. Next is the lateral radiograph of the neck and the chest may sometimes complement the diagnosis, and rigid endoscopy may be needed in some of the cases, and when you are suspecting other synchronous anomalies or lesions like subglottic lesions. So whenever we are doing the flexible laryngoscopic examination, so there are certain different type of anatomical abnormalities which may be encountered. Now let's see from the most common. The most common seen is the anterior prolapse of the mucosa covering the arytenoid cartilage. So if you see here, these are the two arytenoid cartilage, and the most common abnormality which is seen is the prolapse of the mucosa over this area. The second is the short aryepiglottic fold which is tethered to the epiglottis. The typical finding of the laryngomalacia is the omega shaped epiglottis which you can see here, tall and the curled up epiglottis. Sometimes you may also get the posterior prolapse of the epiglottis, and sometimes there may be combination of these findings. Now let's see the role of flexible endoscopy and the rigid endoscopy in laryngomalacia. In majority of the patients, the flexible endoscopy is enough for diagnosis, but in some cases we need to do rigid endoscopy, like especially if there is stridor is severe or if there is inadequate view obtained during the flexible endoscopy. The advantage of flexible endoscopy is that the dynamics of the supraglottis can be appreciated in a better way. Since the rigid endoscopy has to be done under the general anesthesia, the dynamics cannot be studied, but it definitely gives a clear assessment of the subglottic region, and it also helps us to identify the other synchronous anomalies of the larynx. The disadvantage of flexible endoscopy is that the milder forms may be missed, and it does not allow the accurate evaluation of the subglottis and the trachea region. So there is a possibility that if we do only the flexible endoscopy, there is a likelihood of missing some other lesions. So whenever you are getting a case of stridor in an infant, so laryngomalacia is the most common cause, but all do remember the other causes like congenital laryngeal cyst and the laryngocele. But again, these can be differentiated very well on the laryngoscopic examination. If we see the treatment of the laryngomalacia, in majority 90% of the cases, expectant observation and reassurance to the parents is sufficient. The reason is the stridor resolves in majority without treatment by first 2 years of life as the laryngeal skeleton becomes more rigid. So always, well, while counseling, always try to reassure the parents that first 2 years of life the stridor will remain, and there is a good possibility that the stridor will resolve by itself. So the reassurance of the parents must be your first priority as this condition is usually harmless. Sometimes the surgical intervention may be needed. The surgery which is done is called as supraglottoplasty or epiglottoplasty. Studies have shown that it is needed in around 10 to 15% of the cases. Now let's see what are the indications of surgery in laryngomalacia. If the infant is having feeding difficulty with the failure to thrive, presence of cyanosis, presence of apnea, hypoxia, and respiratory distress, these are the indications for the surgical intervention in a case of laryngomalacia. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching this video.